In this video, we are going to look at how FastAPI lets you attach real validation rules directly to your path and query parameters. Things like minimum length, numeric ranges, and human readable descriptions, without writing a single line of manual checking code. By the end, you will know exactly how to use query and path, and when to reach for them. Imagine you have a search endpoint that accepts a query string. You need it to be at least 3 characters, no longer than 50, and you need a page number that is always 1 or greater. Without any framework help, you write those checks yourself. If statements, raise HTTP exception, repeated in every route. It is boilerplate, it drifts out of sync with the docs, and one forgotten guard is a bug waiting to happen. Here is a useful way to picture it. A well-designed paper form does not rely on the clerk to remember the rules. The rules are printed right beside each field. FastAPI's query and path functions are exactly that. You declare the constraint once, right where the parameter is defined, and FastAPI enforces it before your function ever runs. FastAPI gives you 2 helper functions: query for parameters that come after the question mark in a URL, and path for the named segments inside the URL path itself. Both accept constraint arguments. For strings you use min_length and max_length. For numbers you use GE meaning greater than or equal, lay meaning less than or equal, and their strict siblings GT and lieutenant. You also pass description and example, and FastAPI forwards those straight into the interactive Swagger docs. The modern way to attach these helpers is with Python's annotated type hint. Let us walk through this carefully. We import annotated from typing, and path and query from FastAPI. The first parameter, item_id, is declared as annotated of int and a path call. That path call says GE equals 1 and Lee equals 9999, so FastAPI will reject any integer outside that range before your function body runs. The title and description will appear verbatim in the Swagger UI. The second parameter Q is an optional string defaulting to none. Its annotated wrapper holds a query call with min_length 3 and max_length 50, plus an example value that populates the docs. Inside the function, we simply build and return a dict, no manual checks needed. When FastAPI starts up, it inspects every function signature once and builds an internal schema from the annotated metadata. When a real request arrives, FastAPI extracts the raw string values from the URL, coerces them to the declared Python type, and runs the constraint checks, all before calling your function. If anything fails, FastAPI sends back a structured 422 response with details about exactly which field was wrong. If everything passes, your function receives clean, already typed data. As a bonus, that same schema is used to render the interactive docs with no extra work from you. Query and path shine when you have clear, self-contained rules on a single parameter, a numeric ID that must be positive, a search string with a sensible length cap. However, if your validation involves comparing 2 fields against each other, or you are validating a request body, that logic belongs on a Pydantic model instead. And resist the urge to wrap every parameter in query just to add a title. Add metadata where it genuinely helps consumers of your API, not as decoration. To wrap up, query and path let you move validation out of your function body and into the parameter declaration itself, which removes boilerplate, makes rules impossible to skip, and feeds your API docs automatically. Remember that GE and lay handle numeric bounds, while min_length and max_length handle strings, and that annotated is the cleaner modern way to attach them. When validation grows more complex than a single field rule, Pydantic models are your next tool.